To all the nosy and rebellious earthfuls this may concern, what stands before you is a human nest thing you'd call a house. What lies inside it are normal human things that aren't to be meddled with. You may make friends with my dog, Gur, as he is harmless most of the time, but you won't find Mini Moose, who is a rare species of moose that is tiny and can fly just because. As my final request to them as their master, I told Mini Moose to find another human that may need help with their own real mission, and I told Gur to stay. He doesn't seem to mind this planet like I do. He shows endless appreciation for it, as a matter of fact. He loves the food, he loves the piggies, he loves the monkeys, he loves the TV, he loves the pizza man, and everything else. Gur now belongs to the freaky head boy, Dib, and his sister, and his father, for reasons that have to stay classified for Gur's safety. But don't touch him. You'll find what looks like a zipper, but it is a scar, with stitches. He got mauled by a thing, so it is important that you don't touch this delicate pet of mine with your goblin pork fingers. As for my whereabouts, don't bother. I don't want to be useful anywhere in any way anymore. Not in the way that Dip wanted me to, and not in the way that I wanted to. I bid this ugly planet of pure stupidity farewell. I have no place for it other than one of its experimenting monster labs. To the rest of the universe, I'm either just as useless or worse. I've been worse. I've spoken against this before, but I think it's fitting that my end happens here on this planet that's broken and pathetic like me. What? He forgot to put his name at the end. Doesn't he say his name all the time? I was just trying to sell boxes of pizza-flavored taffy for the cause of rebuilding everything that was damaged from the Florpy hole. Sure, I could have accepted that the kid sitting in front of me at school really was an alien. I really could have. But finding a suicide note on his door is something else. The other kid in my class, the crazy one, walked up behind me as I read out loud. The creep. Dip was crazy for more reasons than he realized. Whether or not he was right about any of the stuff he constantly moaned about, he was so obsessive and self-entitled. That was his real problem. He never shut up. All he wanted to do with the rest of his life was hound Zim, and until what? I decided to turn around and ask him that. He gave me a dumb look, and I knew he was about to rant for who knows how long. When he got to the part about proving to everyone how right he was all along, I cut him off by shoving the paper in his face. He clumsily swatted at it in surprise before catching it in his own hands, and next, I told him to take a second and think about how worth it would be. Think past the 15 minutes of fame, think past the glory, and what's there? A creature being mutilated and gawked at for the sake of your honor and satisfaction. Some hero you'd be. Like I expected, he brought up Zim's being here in the first place. Zim's honor and satisfaction, Zim's intentions, Zim this and Zim that. You basically just pointed out that you've been doing the same thing you've been harassing him for, I said. For once, Dip was at a loss for words. I explained further in case he didn't process what I said 100%. All you want in life is to take down monsters like Bigfoot, I said. All for your selfish reasons and to bring pain upon those creatures. If you hate Zim, how do you love yourself? You're just like him. Dip's narrowed eyes drifted across the paper, going over the note again. I asked him where Gur was and how he was going to tell him that Zim offed himself. Dip argued that Zim was faking it. Zim apparently left Gur with him yesterday, then vanished on purpose because he had yet another plan to conquer the earth. Dip said even though he searched Gur for any suspicious upgrades and found nothing, he wasn't going to let his guard down. Evil was all Zim's kind knew. Think about how you're going to sleep at night if you're wrong, I told him. I walked away after that. Behind me I heard Dip running away in a hurry. Probably to do more spying and researching, and another one of his stupid crazy fits. Something flew past me about 2 minutes later. It grazed my scalp and made half of my hair fall in front of my face. I could have sworn I heard a high-pitched squeal from whatever it was. It disappeared as quick as it came, but the trail of smoke it left behind didn't. I followed it, and it led me to a green and black puppy in the park gobbling down a bowl of soup he appeared to have stolen from an abandoned picnic. Dib was there, and I heard him muttering to Gur about something he did wrong. If I heard right, he didn't locate Zim like Dib thought he knew how to do. Gur shrugged and said something about a snowy signal and beef jerky. Dib stood there and scowled at him until we all heard some weird noises. Some grunting, clanging, and a splash. We had a creek in the park, with a little bridge over it. At first glance, I thought I was looking at a giant spider clinging to that bridge. But then I noticed it was metal. I almost jumped out of my skin and took a closer look at this thing. The body had 3 pink spots. It looked exactly like Zim's weird backpack. Right when I realized that, the metal egg shrank back into the backpack, which sparked when it fell in the water for some reason. I didn't think Zim had an electric backpack. That was pretty cool. Dib recognized it quicker than I did though, and he started freaking out. He called it a pack, P-A-K, and was wondering what the heck Zim was doing without it. Gur flew over with his rocket legs and snatched it like it was the most valuable and delicate thing in the world, then flew back, cradling the thing while he looked around and started yelling, "Master, where are you?" over and over. His dismay showed through the dog disguise. His world of piggies and unicorns and whatever that note said looked like it was going to shatter to pieces any second. I saw a shape in the water. I think Dib just pretended not to notice, considering how obsessed he usually is with catching details smaller and stupider than that. I had on my favorite shirt and had 5 more pieces of unsold pizza taffy in my pocket that I forgot about, but I jumped in anyway. The shape was close enough for me to not have to go under to pull it out. Even his body didn't feel that much different from a human's. Dib should have been the one to notice this. He should have been the one dragging Zim to safety. If I wasn't looking at what I had in my arms, and if there wasn't a deadly sizzling noise coming from it, I would have guessed that I had an ordinary person, the same age as me. He spoke our language too. What kind of alien automatically speaks English? Dib was the one who stalked Zim, not me. I didn't know a lot about him. How deadly was dirty water to an alien? Could they drown too? Or did they just burn? How brutal was he trying to make this for himself? Dib stupidly watched me put the poor guy down on the grass. Gur had his fake paws up to his face, looking like he was ready to burst in hysterics. I was beginning to wonder if we were kneeling over a dead body, but Zim started to twitch and seize. I considered laying a hand on his shoulder to make him come around more, but he touched me first. His hand shot up and grabbed mine hard. I don't know where it came from. I assumed it was a reflex, a delayed call for help, something like that. Right when that happened, he wheezed horribly like he was going to have 10 hairballs. He coughed up something I guessed was water, even though it was a tint too dark like poison. He tried to say something. It took him 4 tries to make us hear it. He wanted to know how it was possible that he was still alive. At first, I didn't know what to say, but Gur would have interrupted me if I did. Teary-eyed, he hugged Zim's face and said he missed him, and that he didn't want him to be on fire. I guess he was talking about the steam still issuing from his skin. Zim looked kind of surprised to see Gur, but he didn't look like he could focus enough on him, or anything. But he did give a stronger reaction when Gur showed him the pack. He shoved it away and said to get it away from him. Dib asked why, but much to my growing desire to slap his glasses off, he sounded more observant than concerned. What Zim said wasn't mentioned in his note. He just said he needed to get rid of himself. He didn't know what to think anymore. He didn't know if he was ever thinking the right thoughts because of how mechanically messed up he was. And he asked, how could he deserve his own respect when the tallest just told him he had no respect from them to begin with? Serving the tallest as an Urkin soldier was all he knew his entire life. He was raised to be an invader, which he tried so hard to be. He wasted so much time here without meaning to, but he kept the confidence in himself from declining by keeping in mind that the tallest were kind enough to give him a chance to prove himself, after he begged for it. But he learned that he was never intentionally given that chance, and that he was actually sent here to die, even though he absolutely hated it when he got the impression that he was being lied to for any reason. Even though the tallest made him live a big lie, he still had the urge to respect whatever they wanted from him, and they wanted him to be gone. So here he was, trying to get rid of himself for his leaders, like a good soldier. This got to me. I think it got to Dib too. Gur looked up at us and added with a sad smile, "I'm made of trash." This was probably part of the news Zim got from whoever the tallest were, but Gur seemed more affected by Zim's state of distress. He put his paws on his face and said he loved him. Without looking at him, Zim actually pulled him closer with one arm. He said to him, "You remind me of myself when I was born, Gur. Our first words are supposed to be something militaristic like, 'Yes, sir.' But did you know that my first words were, 'I love you'?" Gur looked at him in such awe. It was like he was just as new to this side of Zim as me and Dib were. Dib commented that he wouldn't have guessed. Zim replied that he wasn't supposed to guess that way anyway. Love was a sign of weakness to an Urkin, but he said to the machine responsible for his birth, "I love you." The first sign that he was a defective. "They may as well be my last words too," he said. "I'm glad you're here, Gur." I didn't know what he was talking about. He was singed, but he wasn't dead. But then I remembered what he was yelling about when I first saw him without his pack. He quite literally couldn't live without it. And that's why he didn't want it now. He tightly wrapped both arms around his dog and said, "I love you," and stayed that way, like that was the position he wanted to die in now. On the ground with Gur in his arms. I snatched Dib's jacket in my fist and dragged him up to meet my stare, and I demanded, "How do you put the thing back on?" Dib swore he didn't know. I shoved him to the ground and told Gur to get off of Zim. He slowly looked up at me. Tears were dripping one by one. In the back of my mind, I tried to figure out how this robot could cry, let alone through the costume. He whispered, "Please don't make me." I tried to talk to Zim himself. "Listen to me, Zim. I'm Zita. I sat behind you at school. Remember?" He kept his eyes shut and started shaking. I hoped he was tuning in. "I don't care who you are. Wow. I don't care that you're different, I mean. Don't pay attention to the things Dib probably told you about. Being experimented on, that's not... This place is weird enough. An alien being here wouldn't be a big deal, really. We hype one thing after another real quick. You're not perfectly safe here, granted, but nobody is. There are people that are allergic to common stuff like animals, peanuts, even the sun. Anyways, what I'm getting at is, instead of dying here, why not just live here?" Zim and Gur both looked at me this time. I couldn't tell how they felt about the suggestion, until Gur beamed and grabbed Zim's face again, more painfully from the looks of Zim's expression, and encouraged him with me. He talked about throwing parties, going to parties, making mountains out of chicken pot pies, and a few other things I couldn't quite catch. I know you said you were raised to destroy and stuff," I also said. "It'd be a big change, but you've been here a while. You'd adjust soon enough, surely." I cleared my throat. I knew I sounded stupid. Zim glared while saying, "I would never. This place is now more hideous to me than ever before. And you're a naive fool if you think you can change who I am." "Then what's happening right now?" I said. The Zim I've been around usually yells and laughs a lot, and puts up a fight. You know, I don't think I've ever seen him try to... "You didn't," he said. "But I have. When Dib called me out, you stopped me." "I did? Wait, I did? I didn't remember this at all." I guess Zim saw how confused I was, and he explained that he used to have a self-destructing thing. He got rid of it after his first day. But I know that has nothing to do with your point, he said. I was going to press that button to protect myself, and I was afraid. Now, just get out of here, human. I don't see why you're even pitying me. You're my enemy. I'm not your enemy, I said. Why would I be? Wait, that wasn't right. Stop asking stupid questions. I heard Dib mutter to me, "You're kidding, right?" Oh, this guy. I was so sick of hearing his voice. Zim pointed at us and said in a tone so dark even for him, "Leave us be. The sky is the only thing I want in my sight during my last minutes. And now I have to repeat my desired last words, which aren't for you, by the way." Dib asked if he was seriously giving up this time. Now I wasn't the only one asking stupid questions. What more did he need to see and hear? Zim just told us to leave again. One of his arms dropped to the ground like he couldn't control it anymore. Gur looked at it, then at Zim, then back at the arm, then picked it up and tried to wrap it back around himself. I couldn't stand to look at any of this. I didn't know what to do about it, but I knew I'd regret doing what he wanted. Some of us think the same way as you right now, I said. Humans too feel this solace? Zim asked, so much so that they have a longing to perish. His voice was starting to sound different. I think he was getting weaker. I wanted to scream at him to put his pack thing back on, but I had to make sure he would keep it on first. Yes, I said, but you know what? You were sent to the right place. Love is a strength here. You saw that for yourself a week ago. Peace is nice. Zim's voice changed a little more when he said, "You don't realize how important this was to me. You foolish Earth children have only lived 1/10 of the time frame of how long I've prepared, pushed myself." With sincerity, finally, Dib suddenly said, "For what it's worth, Zim, you were good at your job. Impressive even, for an alien that's all broken. I can never relax around you. I've never felt so threatened by anything else in my entire life." That's because you're crazy, I thought. Even though it was evil, Deb said, everything you've done here was impressive and horrifying. Sometimes goofy, but mostly horrifying. Sure, Zim kind of mumbled, but don't you think it was stupid as well? Not stupid, Gar chirped. You're not stupid, you advanced. He dragged out that last word in a sweet voice, with his paws up to one cheek. I could tell we all had Zim's attention. He was pondering our words. You're right, he said. I've been so loyal. I've even accomplished things the other Urkins would never, still with my allegedly damaged pack. How could they? Why? Dib started venting next. I was worried he would ruin our progress, but he wasn't aggressive, insensitive, or even stupid about it. Like I said a week ago, he said, I'm not appreciated for what I do either. It hurts, I know, and I let it get to me sometimes. One point to where I almost completely abandoned my path to becoming a paranormal investigator. It's just my one burning passion. Dib is this, Dib is that, Dib is crazy. Dib is me. Let me be me. I know I'm obsessed. That's my drive to be awesome. I fight for it, one day at a time. Isn't that exactly what you did? Weren't you so proud of yourself? Weren't you a fighter? Dang. I was often told I was the worst by other Urkins, Zim said. During the academy, during training, and when I made things explode. But I always found it extremely laughable. I knew me. Because I am me. I am Zim. There. He said his name. That was a good sign. I knew I was good enough, Zim said. But this is different. The tallest themselves. I grew up with these two before they became the tallest. And when they did, at first, they still felt like fellow comrades to me. Just two other ordinary Urkins. But He made a face like he realized something life-changing, something heavy, something that made him more bitter than I've ever seen, and he finally tried to sit up. He couldn't on his own. As soon as I helped, he growled, They are ordinary. They're stupid. They don't believe anyone their height can be stupid, but I've seen proof in the flesh. That means they themselves are capable of having their intelligence being below average. And it has been. They've been cowards, instead of killing me themselves. Maybe he shouldn't have sat up. He was losing it. And right when he was getting his healthy self-esteem back. Zim, keep talking. Keep talking to us. I suddenly had dead weight in my arms again. His whole body just drooped. I thought he died right then. Whoa, oh no. Zim, hey. Zim? He snapped out of it, looking scared out of his mind. He whispered a few things I had a hard time hearing, but I think I caught something along the lines of 4 minutes. I can't do this. This can't be right. He had to have changed his mind. He had to let us give him his pack now. Dib said my name and was about to hand it to me, but he dropped it when it started sparking again, like it was short-circuiting. But it still seemed to function, because there came the spider legs. Bigger ones, though. These were more like tentacles. They just missed me as they shot out and embedded themselves into Zim's back. The pack was slowly pulled back where it belonged. I heard it click into place, and it sparked and buzzed a few times more. I didn't know if this was normal, or if it was from water damage. It's gotten wet before, hasn't it? I kept getting shocked myself, so I put Zim down and didn't dare touch him again. I still stayed close, though. I stared at him like a creep would. He still looked out of it. Dib said to give it a second, and he was right. Zim suddenly had enough strength to get up. His emotions stayed the same. He didn't say anything. Dib said his name. Gur even said his name for once. Are you going to be okay? I asked. Zim looked away. I think he was shy, but still formal when he said, I will give this offer of yours a chance, Ziti, since you've been so, kind. You've really surprised me. I didn't suspect for a second that a human would manage to rescue me and convince me to reconsider. You showed me right then that there's more to learn about this planet than just the filth of it. Though the idea of this becoming my permanent home is still nonsense to me. I can't promise that I'll ever sincerely like it here, and I can't stay forever. I corrected that my name was Zeta, not Ziti. Gur found this funny and started chanting Ziti while rocking back and forth. Wouldn't it be really awkward too? Dib said. You just spent so long threatening us and trying to destroy us. Zim didn't seem to feel like answering something that complicated. He just shrugged. Gur went from rocking to flopping on his back over Zim's lap. Can I be your mongoose again? Zim looked at him for a second, then quietly said, Yes, you can be my mongoose again. Gur screamed and launched himself over the water again. He grabbed something else and shoved it down his own throat as soon as he landed. It was the rest of my pizza taffy. What Zim said next sounded like it was mostly for Gur and himself to hear. I should channel my need to invade into something new until I get accustomed to whatever my life is now. When Dib asked what he meant by that, Zim scowled at the sky. What are you? Get away from me! Oh no, not again. To the Dib, though I'm aware you will never completely trust me, I appreciate you keeping your word when it comes to our truce. It still stands firm, even if I don't find Earth as likable as you do. You'll have to excuse that, you know. It's been 2 measly months and I still have a century-old pile of stinky Irken knowledge to forget about. To the one called Zeta. Today marks 2 months after your interference with my mistake. I don't recall thanking you for it, but I'll assume I did. Do not be alarmed. I'm about to disappear for a much better reason. Gur is coming with me. It turns out he's been hiding how well he took what the tallest said. I don't know if he means to hide his real emotions since he's more faulty than I am, but I noticed he's been a little bit different. He's been closer to my side than usual for one. He taps his head as if he acknowledges how his mind was so poorly assembled. Come to think of it, he did the same thing when he powered up for the first time and met me, after he was put together on the spot. He spent his first hour and a half banging his head everywhere and laughing, but I wonder if it was out of madness, not stupidity. It was as if deep down he knew there was something severely wrong with him. And now that he's heard that the tallest made him stupid on purpose, just for their mere entertainment, his cry for help comes off stronger now. He may even share my thirst for revenge. That's what I was getting at, by the way. We are seeking closure. Our return to Earth isn't likely, because what we're doing could result in several ways. But I do want to tell you how it goes. I do want to try and visit. I really do. Love, Zim. I didn't see a clear enough explanation of what his plan was. Despite that, I wished him good luck. Dib, the one who found this note, did the same.